Alrighty guys, what's going on, and welcome back here to another weather update here. I hope you guys are doing great this evening. We got ourselves another update here on Tropical Cyclone Lee, I should say. Anyways, but let's go ahead and see who we got ourselves here for today before we really dive on into it. We got ourselves Caden. We have here, let's see here, Tashmed. Tashmed. We have Logan. I know I said your name wrong. I'm sorry about that. Let's see, Crystal, we got Liam, we have Scott, let's see here, we have Wallflower, we got Poland Ball, we have Jill, we have Calla, we have Michael, we have Velocity, we have Ava. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing good. Like I said, glad to have y'all here for yet again another update here on the tropics. Let's go ahead and bring y'all over here to the satellite view. That's the first thing we're going to look at here. Is I want to show you guys the satellite view with the system. So let's go ahead and jump on over here. Actually, I just clicked on the wrong scene. Okay, well, let's go ahead and hop over to this scene here. A little bit different. The lighting should look a little better than what it did before. I did adjust some lighting here. I have my lamp now. Does it look better? Just, you know, wondering. But anyways, but yeah, no, we have Hurricane Lee here. As you can see, he's actually got a bit of dry air there on the northern flank of the storm here. Over, I can see it right there. That big old dry air slot. We do have an eye of the storm. Obviously, there is an eye here, as we can obviously tell right in there, right there. But overall, yeah, storms, you know, right now it's a Category 2. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but it did get downgraded from a Cat 3 now into a Category 2 with sustained winds of 105, with sustained winds of 105 miles per hour with gusts still getting up pretty heavily right now to about 125 miles per hour. Here on the current, you know, the last update as of 5 o'clock here, we do have ourselves a system at sustained winds of 105 with gusts getting up to a whopping 125 here. Pressure's increased a little bit as well. The system is growing large. It is a very large system overall, and so it's going to be affecting a lot of areas. We do got tropical storm watches and hurricane watches in effect for portions here up north. We're going to go ahead and switch you guys over here to the Hurricane Center. I do want to go ahead and show you all that here. Let's go ahead and switch you guys over here right now. So whenever it comes to it here from the Hurricane Center, on the last update here, we did get some, obviously Bermuda still has that tropical storm warning we were talking about. They're going to be really feeling those effects here pretty much. I mean, essentially they're going to really start to feel that here basically for tomorrow, because like I said, the storm is going to be pretty big. They're obviously going to get a lot of big waves out of this event here as well. And you can see the tropical storm watches, meaning that tropical storm conditions are possible across these areas here in the yellow, which that means across areas here all the way from Rhode Island's coast, actually, from Rhode Island's coast all the way through eastern Massachusetts, throughout portions here of Maine up the coast here. We are seeing the possibility of tropical storm conditions, so if you are across those regions, just make sure that you guys are monitoring this, as, you know, tropical storm warnings eventually will probably be needed overall. And of course, we get ourselves this pink area here. These are hurricane watches. This is where hurricane conditions are possible, because we are expecting this thing to potentially still be in hurricane strength by the time it reaches up here in the northeast, as it approaches, you know, Nova Scotia, as well as approaches portions here, like I said, of the northeast in general. It still definitely could have that hurricane, you know, hurricane feeling to it overall. Let's see here, like, big is big. Just curious, like, how big is big? So for example, this is the current wind field of the system. So across the yellow, this is where the tropical storm force winds are felt. And across the orange, that is where the hurricane conditions are felt. Now, let me actually show you guys something. I'm going to hop you all back over here to one of my main programs here, so you can actually see that right here. We're going to get rid of some of this here for y'all so it's not too cluttery. So we're going to turn off those winds. There we go. So you see the big circle? We got, you know, the reddish color. That is where we are seeing those hurricane force winds, kind of middle upper tropical storm force winds across the yellow, and this kind of a bluish color is kind of where the tropical storm force winds start. So overall, I mean, you can see for scale, whoops, didn't mean to do that. You can actually see for scale just how large these tropical storm force winds actually cover. And if I was to actually measure this from the west side to the east, we are seeing 464 miles is that current width of tropical storm force winds. From top to bottom, it is 473. So it is definitely, you know, definitely pretty crazy out there overall. Very large system, like I said, very, very large. Whenever it comes to the, like I said, the hurricane force winds, I mean, even the hurricane force winds right now extend almost 200 miles around the storm here. So from the center, it's about 100 miles out in each direction, which is pretty crazy overall. But yeah, it is actually forecasted to get even bigger overall. It is going to be a monster. It already is a monster. It's turning into quite a quite a crazy system overall. It's a very large system. And so, obviously, there's going to be a lot of areas that's going to be feeling this here overall. This thing is right now, like I said, right now, once again, it is a Category 2. We're talking sustained winds of 105, with gusts getting up to a whopping 125. It has dropped a category since the last update here. But whenever it comes to areas here by Bermuda, like we were talking about, it is actually forecasted to go from Cat 2 to Cat 1 as it kind of sweeps right there next to places here towards Bermuda. So we're kind of talking right here for the morning of the 15th, the late 14th. This thing will be getting pretty close to, or as close as it will get to Bermuda, which is going to be well to the west here overall. But like I said, the storm is just so big, we are definitely going to be feeling those tropical storm force conditions here overall. And so, like I said, definitely you got to be preparing for this out here towards Bermuda, because also we're going to be seeing some really big waves out there as well, in which, obviously Bermuda needs to monitor this very, very closely. In which, like I said, if you're out at sea, you want to definitely avoid being out in sea around these regions, because it's definitely going to get a little gnarly out there. It's definitely going to get a little crazy overall. So you're just going to want to avoid traveling in those waters in general, because like I said, really big waves is going to be expected with this system overall. Like I said, definitely is something we need to look out there for. Anyways, but let's go and hop over here to the models. Let's go and take a look and see what the latest models have shown us. I have not looked at the models. I kind of waited. That way we can take a look at them together here. So we have the GFS. This is the American GFS model. The latest run is actually still running right now. This is the 18 Zulu run. Current time is 23:08 Zulu. So this was a little bit ago, but it's just now coming through overall. But whenever it comes to the system, obviously gradual north pullment, or gradually north movement here overall. Going to be sideswiping portions here towards, like I was saying, towards Bermuda, in which Bermuda is obviously going to experience, like I said, tropical storm force conditions overall. Like I said, in terms of the GFS model, it actually has it kind of pulling west. You see that? We're actually going to zoom into the northeast real quickly. It might be a little bit easier to see, but according to the GFS, as it was continuing north, you can see how it's kind of going something like this. It actually starts to turn like that if you look really closely. So here we go. Watch this. So you can see it goes north, and then boom, it starts to turn a lot more to the west. Now, the latest GFS model has it right between the coast of Maine and the coast of western Nova Scotia here. So overall, you can kind of see that there is a little bit of westerly movement according to the latest GFS compared to what we looked at here overall from this morning. So things are looking a little nasty according to the GFS model overall. In terms of, like I said, the waves, the waves are going to be pretty brutal overall. I mean, definitely have got to be looking out for real big waves with the system. I mean, it's going to be, pretty gnarly. I do want to go ahead and show you guys those winds, though. Like I said, the wind field is absolutely enormous. So according to the GFS model, we're actually seeing well into tropical storm force conditions out there by Cape Cod. Like I said, we do have tropical storm watches now in effect for areas by Cape Cod, in which, I think Cape Cod could honestly get this thing pretty good. This is definitely going to be very effective for Cape Cod regions in terms of those tropical storm force winds, overall swelling. We actually do have a swelling or a surging outlook now. We'll take a look at here in a minute. We're actually talking right around 2 to 4 foot of surges to be a possibility out there by those areas of Cape Cod. So obviously, if you're right there on the coast, expect the waves to be, or expect the water to be up to 4 foot above sea level in general. Let's see here, but that is, that's that. Is that why there's hurricane watches in parts of Maine? Yes, because, it seems like the latest models have, possibly been trending it to impact more of these areas here. That's why we got hurricane conditions being possible up there by, Maine. That's why they got those tropical storm watches out there, or sorry, those hurricane watches, followed by the tropical storm watches that go all the way from basically, southern Maine into as far south as like coastal Rhode Island. Could actually see some tropical storm conditions as well. But anyways, let's see here. State of Maine says, hey, just became a member before the stream. Well, thank you, State of Maine. Greatly appreciated. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I didn't see that, so I'm sorry I didn't get to it. Anyways, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But let's go ahead and take a look here at the European model's perspective. Actually, wow. They've really come to an agreement here. You'll see that? There's the latest European model. Has it going literally in that same area here. Right there for the eastern Gulf of Maine, squeezing right between western Nova Scotia and right there between portions of eastern coastal Maine. That's actually a lot better. The models are definitely, models are definitely looking pretty good. A lot better than whenever they were looking at it earlier. We got the CMC model. Let's see. This one shows it maybe a little bit further to the east, but overall really still impacting the Gulf of Maine out there. And of course, we get the last one, the Icon here. Yeah, Icon really agrees with the GFS and the ECMWF. So now it looks like the greatest probability is that this system, potentially could make landfall somewhere in here. It's kind of hard to see the eastern side, but somewhere there, probably towards the northern Gulf of Maine, could be a possible impact area. So like I said, now is the time to start preparing, guys. Now is the time to definitely keep an eye out there for the system, because like I was saying, at this point in time, we are very confident, or pretty confident, on the fact of where this thing is going to go. And it is forecasted just to continue moving to the north overall. I mean, we do got some high pressure that's going to be building up across the country, which, should deflect it maybe a little bit to the east. But overall, this high pressure is probably going to become, an enemy rather than a friend in general, because it's actually going to allow for the system to kind of get, drawn closer to the coast here. And then, of course, it's going to be sucked out into the Arctic Circle eventually down in time. So, like I said, it's definitely something that we need to, really watch out there for overall. Let's see here. Hope 8 Fear, thank you so much for becoming a tropical stormer. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for the support. Very sweet of you. I really appreciate it. Big thank you goes to you. Will be interesting to see those buoy cams. Yes, it will be. Actually, let's go and see if we have any right now. We haven't looked at those yet. We obviously got a couple where it makes landfall, but here, right next to the storm, we got a couple that's out there. So the winds aren't terribly crazy. I mean, they're not in tropical storm force, because, that tropical storm force wind starts across this blue area here. The middle upper tropical storm force is across this area here, kind of in that yellow. And this orange here, we're talking, that's hurricane force, being at least 75 miles an hour and higher overall. But we do got a couple of buoys nearby. You can see there's a bit of, choppy waters out there. Wow, gusting up to 42, according to that one right there. That's even out of the region. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look how big those waves were. You see that? That's crazy. Here, wait till it goes back to the first camera. Should be right. Not that one. That one. See that? Some big waves. Holy cow. Let's see here. At least it's not 20 below zero. Hey, you know what? That is a good thing to think about. It is not going to be 20 below zero. Like I said, a lot of these places here are actually used to the winds and stuff like that whenever it comes to wintertime, out of these strong nor'easters, because they can definitely spark off some pretty strong winds. The thing is, though, like I said, what I'm really concerned about is the fact that we are seeing a lot of surging potential, some surging. Let me actually show you guys that map here from what the Hurricane Center actually just pulled out here not too long ago. This was actually as of the last update, I'm pretty sure. So here's the storm surge forecast. You can actually see surging is happening as far west as western, like I said, as far west as western Long Island here. Potentially 1 to 2 foot of storm surge is possible. Obviously for portions of north and southern portions of Long Island. It goes across Rhode Island's coast and 2 portions out here towards, southern Massachusetts coast, right there for Cape Cod. That's kind of where we are expecting it to be the heaviest as of right now. We are talking around 2 to 4 foot of surging being a possibility. So basically, 2 to 4 foot of water pushed inland seems to be a good possibility out of this. And obviously we continue with those, 1 to 3 foot, surge possibilities going out there across, pretty much the entire coast of Maine. So we are definitely going to be likely seeing ourselves, a lot of surging potential. I mean, it's nothing astronomically crazy, but it'll definitely be pretty impactful. Maybe some mild coastal erosion could be a possibility, so make sure that you're watching out for that. In terms of the rainfall forecast, we actually do have a rainfall trajectory. Now, like I said, just a little bit of a disclaimer, I do think that this will change a lot, but overall, the heaviest rain seems to be kind of set in place across central and western Maine. We're talking right around 2 to 4 inches of rainfall being a possibility right now. Same thing out there by Cape Cod. Obviously in those regions too, we're going to get some, a lot of rain out there. Once again, right in that area here of 2 to 4 inches in general, kind of what we're seeing here. Let's see here. See, I appreciate your coverage. Well, thank you so much, Hope. Greatly appreciated. Let's see. Thanks for sharing those. You're very welcome. Let's see here. Can this thing head up well above our good friends in Nova Scotia? So it's actually forecasted to continue pulling to the north, almost to the northeast. You can see the cone here actually has it continuing on. This will also impact New Brunswick, Prince Edward's Island, eventually further east, maybe they're towards Newfoundland. Could have some impacts out of this here overall. But, obviously the storm's going to be slowing down a lot by the time it reaches these regions. Like I said, obviously when it comes to it, the heaviest effects are going to be, right around in these regions here. That is obviously where we're going to be seeing our heaviest effects in general with the system here. But yeah, like I said, it's going to slow down a bit as it approaches those regions. You can see the cone actually gets a little bigger. There's a little bit more uncertainty of once the storm gets in that region. But overall, landfall is expected all the way between Halifax and basically central coastal Maine. As of right now, it seems to be in the cone. But like I said, we got a lot of cameras out there. Obviously, we'll have a lot of information coming through whenever it comes to the coverage. Like I said, obviously in terms of timing, if you guys are wondering, this will be approaching, coastal Nova Scotia right around the evening of the 16th overall. So we're definitely going to be feeling those effects here, actually probably starting for the early 16th, I'd say. And obviously, through the 17th, we'll start to feel it. It'll start to get a little better right here for the 18th in general. But yeah, the worst of it's going to be between the 16th and the 17th in general. But that is that, my friends. That is what we are looking at. So once again, like I said, right now, guys, it is a Category 2 for the people who's wondering. Sustained winds of 105. We're talking, sustained winds, constant winds there by the eye wall or the center, near the center of the storm. We're talking sustained winds right around 105 miles per hour with gusts getting up to right around 125. So it's definitely still a pretty powerful storm, even though it is a Category 2. Like I said, they did just downgrade it from a Cat 3 to a Category 2 a little bit ago. Let's actually see when they did that here. I do have it. Okay, so I got the notification that Lee got downgraded to a Category 2 right around 2 p.m. So about 5 hours ago, this thing was downgraded from a Cat 2, or sorry, from Cat 3 to a Category 2. And like I said, it is expected to lose its strength even more as it continues pulling north because of several factors. We're going to have a lot of dry air starts to pull its way into the storm here. We're going to have a lot of strong winds that's going to basically rip apart the storm structure, as well as we are going to be having cooler waters out there. I mean, it's going to be, fairly warm for a little bit because we got the Gulf Stream pulling those warmer waters a little bit further north. But once it reaches up portions here near the coastal northeast, then it's going to start to weaken. It's going to start to go post-tropical because obviously we're rolling into waters which is a lot cooler for tropical development in general. So that is essentially kind of what we are seeing here. So it'll be weakening by the time it rolls its way towards those areas. And like I said, once again, guys, we do have hurricane watches now in effect for Maine. If you guys are just now joining us, we do. They did issue those here a little bit ago. I think they issued those about 2 hours ago with the last 5 o'clock update, I'm pretty sure, is when they pulled those out. But let me go ahead and show you guys what we're talking about here. So this is the latest cone from the Hurricane Center here. You can see the dark blue across Bermuda basically telling us that we have, tropical storm warnings that are in place. So obviously tropical storm conditions is expected here. Whatever it comes to the yellow, all the way from coastal Rhode Island up to basically central coastal Maine there. That's where tropical storm conditions are possible, which I do expect them to turn into warnings here as the system barrels closer. And you can see the pink across the regions. That pink right there, my friends, that is a hurricane watch, meaning that hurricane conditions are possible because this thing potentially could still be a hurricane by the time it reaches there. Personally, I think it's probably going to be more an upper tropical storm force by the time it reaches here, but, upper tropical storm force, lower Category 1 force is kind of the overall table of kind of what we're looking at here overall. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of, that's kind of what we are seeing here, with the current watches and the warnings and stuff like that we got out there in general. And, once again, like I said, guys, back over here to the surges. This is the latest information they just came out with. We're talking 2 to 4 foot of storm surge being possible out there by areas towards Cape Cod. And obviously from, western Long Island all the way up to literally the northern top of Maine's coast. We are seeing the possibility of around, 1 to 2, 1 to 3 foot, a little bit higher up there by Maine's coast, a little bit lower out there by, Rhode Island, or not Rhode Island, not Rhode Island. Oh, actually Rhode Island too. You know what? That's right. Yeah, Rhode Island's impacted too. We are talking, once again, right around 1 to 3 feet for those regions. But what I was saying for coastal Long Island, that's where we are going to be seeing the potential of right around 1 to 2 foot of surges being possible. Let's see. What about New York City? Are we good? Yeah, no, New York City should be fine. Obviously, New York is, over in these regions here. There is a possibility we could get a little bit of swelling, a little bit of coastal problems with this system, but overall, honestly, yeah, I think we're going to be relatively fine out there. I mean, even whenever it comes to rainfall, you can see that we're not going to really get any rain out of this essentially, because it looks like most of it is going to remain to your east, mostly there towards like eastern, Massachusetts, and mostly for Maine. Most of the rain will be across Maine. Obviously portions here towards New Brunswick up there, as well as Nova Scotia there in general. Let's see here. See, that is what I was thinking about New York City. Yeah, like I said, New York City, honestly, not worried about you guys. You all should be fine with this system. It's just going to pull to your east mostly. I don't see any problems with y'all. Let's see here. What about Northwest Rhode Island? So yeah, Rhode Island, obviously, in terms of precipitation right now from the latest outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, honestly, I'd still say it's possible we could get a little bit of rain out of this here. Yeah, you're going to get some bands out of the storm. But, whenever it comes to it, rainfall is not going to be too much of a problem for you. Like I said, obviously, coastal Rhode Island to your south will be a possibility, in regarding to, seeing a bit of activity there with the, the surges. Like I said, 1 to 3 foot of surges is possible by Rhode Island's coast in general. And, like I said, overall that, yeah, it could get a little windy, actually. It definitely could get a little windy across some of these regions here, in which we are going to need to monitor. Now, let me actually bring you guys over here to the models. We'll take a look at the National Weather Service blend of models here, just kind of giving us a suggestion of what we can see whenever it comes to these wind speeds here overall. Like I said, once again, this is just kind of a suggestion. This is still a little bit, still 100% not perfect, but you can really see those winds really get pretty heavy out there by portions of Cape Cod. Like I said, we could really be strong in terms of wind gusts. Remember, these are gusts, what the winds could get up to, what they could maximize up to. But yeah, like I said, obviously when it comes to it, Cape Cod's probably going to be feeling this the worst. Personally, I think that's where we're going to see most of the U.S. impacts is over across Cape Cod. Obviously, yeah, coastal Maine's going to be feeling this too. The winds are, believe it or not, are going to be working its way inland. Obviously New York here possibly could see some winds, gusting maybe up to the 30s. That's a good possibility in general. But the more you work their way towards, Massachusetts and those regions, we're talking in the 40s, and across Cape Cod, that's where we could get like well above, possibly there in like 60s and stuff like that. But anyways, has Canada ever had a Cat 5? I don't know. I don't think so. Not that I know of. Let's see here. Simon says, greetings from Portland, Oregon. What's up? Seeing you are a valuable asset. Thank you for doing these live feeds. You're very welcome, Simon. Very welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope you're doing good, man. Let's see here. So whenever it comes to it, let's see. Yeah, like I said, back over to that question you had there from the state of Maine. They said that has Canada ever said a Cat 5? Usually what happens is the storm weakens as it pulls up north because it usually gets either gets caught up in the jet stream and starts to rip apart, or the waters are just simply too cold to support it. I don't think there ever has been. I don't think so. Let's see here. Boston's going to get soaked. The whole eastern side of Massachusetts have yellow. So, like I said, back over here to the rainfall outlook. Yeah, like I said, in terms of Massachusetts, yeah, the eastern side. So across the light green areas, you can see the color table showing right around 1 to 2 inches of rainfall being a possibility out there. We're kind of talking, right around 2 to 4 inches being possible across areas here towards, Cape Cod. Across coastal, not just coastal Maine, actually like interior central Maine too. Central eastern Maine could be seeing, once again, well over that possibility there. But like I said, we'll just definitely have to, watch out for this because, like I said, I do expect these totals to change. They more than likely will because, models, we're just now starting to see our first rainfall outlooks come through here. In which, honestly, I do expect this to change. Let's see here. Can we see the spaghetti models? Yes, I can show you the spaghetti models. They've actually been a little bit more in agreement mode, actually. So here you go. Here's the latest spaghetti models. You guys probably have heard of these spaghetti models before. Not too common. We see them up here, though. Let me do this for you guys. I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit. I want to make it look a little bit better for y'all. Oh, no. I did something. Uh-oh. Hold on a minute. We have a little bit of technical difficulties. Okay. So there you go. Come on. Gosh, there it is. There's that sneeze that never comes out. Anyways, when it comes to it, though, across portions here of western Nova Scotia, you can see all of the models here actually have this thing hitting western Nova Scotia in terms of the latest the latest spaghetti models. It seems like they've really come to an agreement here over the last couple of runs. Continue pulling it to the northeast. Actually, you can actually see how the storm pulls north, and then it starts to move to the northeast by like Newfoundland and stuff like that. A couple days further down the line. Glad Florida got a break. Yeah, I agree. Florida got hit by Idalia here not too long ago. That was that was definitely pretty crazy. It's definitely pretty crazy. Let's see, he broke his computer. Yeah, I did something. I did something. But anyways, but yeah, so we do have a lot more agreement here on the spaghetti models, which is, overall good. Let's see here. We got ourselves some ensembles here too. Same thing, expected to be right there, kind of across the eastern Gulf of Maine into western Nova Scotia, and then continue to the moving to the east. We have one, we have one member that kind of just goes directly west. That, my friends, is what we call an outcast member. That's something you do not want to see, or that's something you do not want to take into consideration, anyways. That is actually pretty funny. Let's see here. Skylark coming in with a $5 support. Thank you so much. Much love coming in from Skylark. Thank you so much, dude. Very sweet of you, saying thanks from Rhode Island. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. Thank you so much for the 5. That's very appreciated, and it really means a lot to us. Big thank you. Once again, Skylark, big shout out goes to you. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Nicole says, with spaghetti, I'm good on Long Island. Thank you. Or question mark. Yeah. No, Long Island's well to the west here. Like I said, it's the center of the storm is going to remain well to your east. Once again, Long Island, the only things that I really see Long Island seeing as a concern is the possibility for maybe a little bit of swelling, like we were talking about here, a little bit of coastal swelling. From the surges and stuff, because like I was saying here, according to the latest the latest information coming in from the like I said, National Hurricane Center, we are seeing those regions out there possibly seeing right around 1 to 2 foot, maybe 1 to 3 foot in some areas as well, of storm surge. So basically, that's 1 to 3 foot of water rising above sea level and pushing inland. So obviously, the water level will be higher. A bit of coastal erosion, mild coastal erosion could happen in these regions because it's not every day you see this across these beaches or anything like that. But yeah, no, like I said, definitely is going to see some coastal problems out there. So regarding to rain, like I was saying though, there's really not much problems. With rain across those regions there. The only regions that rain's going to be a possible problem, especially for flooding, seems to be across like central eastern Maine, as well as eastern Massachusetts, where mostly you can see here. As of right now, we're expecting right around 2 to 4 inches, which I do expect that to change. Like I was saying, I do expect that to actually change overall. But yeah, once again, Cape Cod, central eastern Maine seems to have the heaviest regarding to that. What's up, Pilot? Hope you're doing good. Glad to have you here. But yeah, Lee will hopefully be a tropical depression by Canada. Unfortunately, like I said, we're kind of expecting this thing to reach these regions as a possible low-end Cat 1 upper-level tropical storm. That's kind of what seems to be the more than likely possibility, unfortunately. And like I said, back over here, we're going to hop y'all back over here to the models, regarding the winds, the wind gusts overall. Now, once again, this is from the blend of models. This takes a bunch of models, kind of mashes them together, giving you all the average wind speeds between the models. Whenever it comes to it, yeah, I mean, we're definitely talking some pretty hefty winds out there. Like I was explaining here towards Cape Cod, I mean, we could see some winds as high as 70 miles an hour wind gusts. Maybe nearly hurricane force wind gusts could theoretically be possible out there by, Cape Cod regions there. Obviously, as we work our way inland, it's obviously, dying off a lot more. It's just those coasts that really get the heaviest of the winds in general. So like I said, portions here along, like Long Island by New York and stuff, we're talking, maybe 25 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts as of now, seeing the best possibility. Obviously increasing the more east you go into Long Island. Eastern Long Island could see maybe around 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts as of now being a possibility. Like I said, off the coast there, that's where you're going to be feeling those heaviest wind gusts in general. And this point in time is actually for right around 8 o'clock a.m. of the 16th. This is the point of time being 12 Zulu, which is 8 o'clock a.m. And obviously, like I said, those winds are going to continue on for a while. I mean, you're going to probably start to feel those effects. You're going to really start to feel those winds more than likely start to arise in portions of Cape Cod, probably as early as 8 p.m. on the 15th. Seems to be the possibility, regarding the overall the winds and start to crank up there. But the heaviest it seems to be for the morning of the 16th across, Cape Cod. But that is, that's generally what we're seeing here. Let's see here. And this hurricane's over 500 miles wide. Oh, it's a monster. Yeah, like I was explaining, it's a really big storm right now. I'm actually going to hop you guys back over here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring this over here to you guys for a minute because I do want to show you guys something. Like I said, here, this overall blue circle here, that's showing you where the tropical storm force winds are located. And if I was to measure the western side here, you can see that miles in the top left there. Look at that. Thing is literally like 465 miles wide in terms of the, tropical storm force winds by nearly 475. I mean, it's a very large system. Across the red, these are the hurricane conditions. So from the west to the east side, I mean, we're talking, over 200 miles. Over 200 miles here of hurricane force winds happening right now across the storm, which is, like I said, absolutely crazy. And, like I said, it's definitely something to take into consideration is the size. I mean, because, as this thing pulls its way up here to the north, I mean, it's going to be getting closer to areas, obviously areas here like Bermuda and those regions out there. I'll go ahead and show you guys the cone. Yeah, once again, they do have tropical storm warnings in place for Bermuda, meaning that tropical storm conditions obviously is expected here. Let's see here. Wave, let's see, heightens Long Island. Thank you. So Nicole, we're talking, storm surges being a possibility of right around, 1 to 3 foot max around Long Island. So a little bit of surging is possible, but like I said, for the most part, it shouldn't be too crazy. It's kind of more of a mild storm surge, but it's definitely still has, it still could have its impacts. That is 100% for sure. 100% for sure. Let's see here. That's Saturday morning, correct? Yep. Yeah, so yeah, Saturday morning, which is I think the 16th, that's when you're going to really feel the heaviest effects out there by eastern Massachusetts. Like I said, the models we were looking at here regarding the wind gusts from the blend of models here shows that heaviest point at, 12 Zulu, which that is 8 o'clock a.m. For the 16th, which is, like I said, which is here for the morning of the 16th. Now, whenever it comes to other models, I'm actually curious to see what the GFS has to see about these wind gusts. We were taking a look at the blend here, but let's take a look at more of these individual models. The GFS supports the heaviest time being here, once again, right there for around 8 o'clock a.m. for the 16th, heaviest out there by Cape Cod. GFS showing, upwards of, 60 to, probably in the 60s, in 60 mile per hour. I see actually most being maybe nearly 70 mile per hour wind gusts could be possible. European model, I don't think let's see. I was going to say I don't think European supports it, but they do. Yeah, European model actually shows, wow. European goes a bit more aggressive, actually. Look at that. We're talking nearly hurricane force wind gusts here being a possibility here. That is, that's crazy. That's actually pretty crazy. So yeah, like I said, once again, I really do believe that Cape Cod's going to be, heavily affected with the storm here, with the winds, the storm surge, and the rainfall. Like I said, we're talking a decent amount of rainfall out there. Once again, if you hop over back to the rainfall potential, as of right now, around 2 to 4 inches of rainfall is expected, which, obviously those areas out there have really experienced a lot of rainfall here in the last couple of days, really. So this is not going to be good for that flooding concerns that we already have across these regions there. But yeah, no, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall out there. Like I said, in terms of storm surge by, obviously by those regions here by Cape Cod, 2 to 4 foot of surges is kind of what we're talking about here. Let's see here. But yeah, that's that. See, I just arrived from home and missed the first of your stream. Let's see here. Will the southern part of New Jersey be affected, Cape May? Probably not. No, you'll see some bigger waves across the coasts, that's for sure, but in terms of surging and stuff like that, it should remain to the north. I think you're good. I think you're fine. I mean, even with the rainfall and stuff like that, it keeps it well away from New Jersey. So I hardly think you're going to have any effects whenever it comes to the storm in general. I think mostly you are going to be relatively fine. I mean, even with the winds here, I mean, you can probably notice the winds getting a little gusty. You can actually see in some areas here, you know, the winds could be getting up maybe 20s to 30 miles an hour wind gusts, but, you know, that's nothing too crazy. Once again, I explained that, you know, a lot of you guys out here in the Northeast experience some pretty heavy winds during the winter time because, you know, you get some strong nor'easters sometimes, which can obviously cause, you know, some strong winds to be picked up in general. Let's see here. Marcia says, I'm in Fall River, Massachusetts. I'll be feeding... feeding it pretty good. Hi, Andrew in chat. What's up? Hope we're doing good. Let's see here. And it's going to be half rain-wrapped tornado nobody's talking about. So yeah, on the right-hand side of these systems, there's something we call cyclone-induced tornadoes, which that basically means that, you know, on the right-hand side of a tropical cyclone, there is that threat for tornadoes. And it only exists on the eastern side of the storm because, you know, that's where all your thermodynamics are at play. That's, you know, where your strongest instability is. That's where your winds are actually correctly pointed, as well as, you know, the winds are stronger, more, you know, more vorticity can happen on the right-hand side. So you hardly, like I said, you never see tornadoes on the left-hand side, you know, ever. It's only on the eastern side, you know, which this should not really affect the U.S. too much, but this could spawn maybe a couple tornadoes out there by Nova Scotia. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised in general. But, you know, perhaps even Bermuda. I mean, obviously Bermuda is going to be well to the, you know, well to the east of the storm center. I wouldn't even be surprised if we did get ourselves, you know, maybe a couple water spouts out there in that direction. I mean, considering that seems like a possibility. Let's see here. But yeah, let's see, the Northeast is underestimating this thing. Y'all better start preparing. Coming from a Floridian. Yep, absolutely. Like I said, they hardly ever see this. You know, this is something they don't really see too much. And, you know, definitely, like I said, now's the time to start preparing. You know, it's definitely time to start preparing because we're going to feel these effects really starting here for the 16th. I mean, pretty much the 15th is like the bottom line from when we're going to start really feeling those effects out there by like Cape Cod and those regions. So like I was saying, you know, we're going to have to really be watching this here for a couple more days. I mean, the wires, it's coming down to the wire here now. I mean, the system is, you know, still a decent ways away, but it's just a northern track from here on out. Since today's the 13th, it's now pulling north, as we've been saying over the last several days, how this thing was going to move to the north on the 13th, in which it's starting to do that. In which, you know, like I said, that's kind of what is, you know, what is forecasted, and it looks like, you know, we've come to the agreement here that, you know, areas by Maine and Nova Scotia are going to take a direct hit. It seems to be a good possibility, or it seems to be the possibility out there, or the expectancy rather than possibility. Let's see here. Can it keep moving west? More than likely, it won't pull more to the west. You know, like I said, I think a direct landfall for Cape Cod, I think you guys are mostly fine regarding the direct landfall. But like I said, in terms of the effects, I think Cape Cod is probably going to see the heaviest effects out of, you know, a lot of the places out here. But yeah. Let's see here. What about Concord, New Hampshire? I'm assuming the worst is going to be winds. So, from what it sounds... Okay, I see Concord. You're right here. So, whenever it comes to the storm here for your location, let's go ahead and hop you guys back over here to my main screen. You know, you can actually see you're not going to get any rain out of this hardly. I mean, you might get a few bands overall, but, you know, like I said, whenever it comes to it, it is, you know, mostly going to be not as crazy with the rainfall. I mean, you're probably not even going to see an inch of rain out there. Heaviest rain's east of you. So that's, you know, that's that. The only thing, like I said, you possibly could see is those winds, you know, because like I said, between the blend of models here, it actually shows those wind gusts possibly getting up to, you know, maybe in the 40s. Maybe 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts could be possible. You know, nearly tropical storm force winds. You know, wind gusts, I should say. Tropical storm force wind gusts, you know, low end could be possible by those regions. But, you know, like I said, you know, obviously I'm not really too worried for your location. You know, if I was to pick an area that's probably going to experience this part of the worst in the U.S. alone, Cape Cod. I think Cape Cod, y'all are probably going to get slammed by the storm here pretty good. So if you're in Cape Cod, make sure that you prepare for this here. Make sure that you guys are obviously, you know, getting things together and ready to go. Because like I said, we're going to start feeling those effects here, like I was saying, for the 15th, for the late 15th into the early 16th, through the 16th and into the 17th is whenever things are going to start to improve across those regions. So, you know, pretty much all the 16th is going to be pretty hefty out there. in general. So, once again, make sure that if you are across Cape Cod, make sure that you guys are ready for it. Just, keep an eye on it. Obviously, now would be a good time to start preparing for the system. Obviously, bring, typical hurricane supplies, like flashlights with extra batteries, food and water to last you a little while, or for a while out there, at least a week, I'd say. Overall, like I said, I mean, it's once again, make sure that you guys just are prepared for this. That's essentially what we're saying here. It's just be ready, and say if it's not as strong as it's expected to be, at least you prepared for it. At least you prepared for it. Because your lives are very precious, and we care about every single one of you guys. In which obviously, whenever it comes down to the time of being, like I said, I mean, obviously, the best thing is just to be prepared regardless. Like I said, but right now it seems like it is going to hit pretty hard up there. I mean, this also goes for Nova Scotia too. It's not just the Northeast of the United States. I mean, Nova Scotia, like I said, Maine, portions of Massachusetts. I mean, you guys are going to be hit pretty good in general. And once again, here's the latest rainfall outlook we were just looking at here in general. You can actually see, across areas here by Cape Cod, coastal Maine here, central eastern side as well, into areas here by, places out here by New Brunswick as well as Nova Scotia. We're going to be seeing the possibility here right around 2 to 4 inches of rainfall overall being a probability. So that's that. What about Providence, Rhode Island on Sunday morning? So that's basically for the morning of the 17th. Let's see here. We're going to hop back over here. So the only thing I really see for those areas, like I said, Providence is obviously, kind of right there in that little bay area, right in here. Obviously you're probably going to see some swelling of the water, that's for sure. But yeah, winds could also be pretty gusty out there too, probably 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts in general. Seems to be a good possibility in general. So like I said, definitely going to want to watch out there towards your location too. I believe you're actually under tropical storm watches, because they just issued a whole big bunch of watches for portions here of the Northeast, including hurricane watches too for some areas, in which let me go ahead and show you guys exactly where they put those. Now, first of all, we have those those tropical storm warnings in place where we are expecting tropical storm conditions. We got some tropical storm warnings in place for Bermuda across the dark blue, showing that we are expecting tropical storm force conditions to be an expectancy. Very high waves, that's a big problem across some of these regions here in general. So really big waves. I'm going to turn that, it's a little bright. But really big waves in general is expected for those regions, as well as those tropical storm force winds is, something that we are going to be seeing out there. And of course, whenever it comes to the yellow areas, like I said, all the way down there to actually coastal Rhode Island, we got ourselves, some tropical storm watches, meaning that tropical storm conditions is possible in general, in which, like I said, I do expect those to turn to warnings here probably within a day or so. And like I said, across that pink, that's where you have your hurricane watches, because it's a little closer to where we are seeing the most likelihood of probability of landfall. It looks like, central eastern coastal Maine here. Seems, like I said, those are the regions that has those hurricane watches where hurricane conditions are possible in general. Let's see here. What's up, TRG? Hope you're doing good, man. Let's see. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Sending prayers for everyone in the path of Lee. Absolutely. Well, Chris, glad to have you here. Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. What category will it be by the time it arrives in Massachusetts? It'll be right around Category 1 strength. Right around Cat 1. So, I mean, like I said, don't let that fool you, though, because, like I said, the winds are going to be large, big wind field on the system. I mean, this isn't your average size hurricane. I mean, this is a monster storm. This thing is huge. Like I said, right now, it's actually forecast to get a little bigger. But right now, we're talking those tropical storm force winds extending 500 plus miles out, which is pretty crazy. Or nearly 500 miles out, which is a very large storm. Let's see here. Black Label says, which model do I think has been the most accurate and dependable on the season? Honestly, so statistically, people think that, the European model, or they say the European model is the most accurate model. I think the GFS has done pretty daggone good this season, especially for this storm here. Honestly, I really agree. GFS has been talking about this for some time. I noticed the European model really fluctuating quite a bit. But yeah, no, I think the GFS has done pretty good. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's good to always grab all the models' opinions, because if you grab one, like I said, it's not going to lead you to much of an accurate forecast. You got to grab all the models and their opinions. You got to compare and contrast all that stuff. Let's see here. what we'll be getting in Sydney, Nova Scotia. So out there, so let's go ahead and hop you all. Let's see, figure out where this is at. So we have Halifax. We have, where's Sydney? Is Sydney on the eastern? Okay, yeah, Sydney's on the eastern side. Honestly, the effects from the storm here are probably not going to be anything extreme. You are outside of the cone for the most part, so the center is going to remain to your west overall. Now, don't get me wrong. You're probably going to experience some winds. You're probably going to experience probably going to experience some heavy wind gusts out there. And for the coast, since like you're kind of in a little cove area, the waters could get a little higher. You could get a little choppy in general, but overall, it's not going to be as crazy as say across areas here along western Nova Scotia out there by like Yarmouth and Shelburne, Lockheed Port. Those regions out there probably experiencing a lot worse than you will. Let's see here. That's surprising to hear. Yeah, it really is. The GFS has done pretty good with this system, I've noticed. How long will it last, Andrew? So the storm here, let me go ahead and show you real quickly. So whenever it comes to the storm here, we are expecting this thing to, start to approach here for the morning of the 16th. We're going to start to feel those effects across, portions of Cape Cod. It's going to really start across those regions by the time of the afternoon. By the time of the afternoon here for Saturday, for the 16th, that's when the storm's going to kind of be getting close to the the Gulf of Maine here, and it's going to really have its peak effects here, probably for the afternoon into the evening of the 16th, or for Saturday. But obviously, like I said, the conditions are going to continue into the 17th. By the time it gets near Prince Edward's Island here, I seen someone just wrote that. So this goes for Prince Edward's Island. We could possibly still see winds up to sustained of 50, with gusts getting up to a maximum 65. And then, of course, this thing goes over like Newfoundland, which, then it's going to be losing a bit of speed because obviously, it's dying out in general due to a lot of factors. But yeah, no, the main effects, once again, are going to be felt starting for actually probably even the late 15th through the 16th and into the 17th is when things are going to start to lighten up, probably for the late 17th. But regardless, we're going to be having some, a pretty decent time worth of activity with the system. Kimber says, thanks. You're very welcome. See effects for New Hampshire coast. So obviously, yeah, coastal New Hampshire, the whole whopping like 12 miles y'all have there for the coastline. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. And actually, according to the Hurricane Center here with the latest update and stuff like that, we actually are seeing out there by those regions, we're talking maybe up to 1 to 3 foot of surges being a possibility. So 1 to 3 foot of surging could be possible out there by coastal New Hampshire. Rainfall amounts, obviously could be, maybe right around 1 to 2 inches as of now. I do expect those rainfall totals to change because, the models, they're still kind of working this thing out. They're still kind of trying to get things trying to get things together here overall. But yeah, no, like I said, obviously I do expect that to change, but, obviously you're going to have those impacts along the coast there in general. Let's see here. See, there is a lot of buzz about 97 in Florida. Any opinions on that? I have no idea what's going on out there. Let's see here. Marcia says, thank you so much. Andrew and the mods, you have an amazing channel to keep us informed. Well, thank you, Marcia. It's very greatly appreciated. Let's see. How far the wind bands inland, Bangor to Patton? So let me show you where the winds are expected to be. So this is based off of the wind gusts, essentially what the winds could get up to. According to the blend of models, this is a National Weather Service blend of models, takes a bunch of models, mashes them together overall. But according to the models here, the winds could really be felt as far west as, actually maybe even there towards central Pennsylvania. Nothing crazy, of course, out there, but that's where as far west they can be felt. But, you can actually see for yourself really across these regions in here. According to the blend here, this is the region where we're talking maybe 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts across these regions here. We're talking, maybe right around 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts, pretty much in this line here. So like I said, 40 to 50 here, 30 to 40 here, and, like I said, 20 to 30 would exist across, like these areas here. So that's kind of what it looks like. That's kind of what it looks like here. And once again, this is the timing here for the 18 Zulu. So that would be right around 2 p.m., I believe, for the Saturday commute. So it's right around 2 p.m. for Saturday. And according to the cone here at this time being, the National Hurricane Center has this thing at at 2 p.m. To still be a hurricane, Category 1 potentially, or expected to be, with sustained winds of 75 with gusts getting up to 90 still across the core of the storm in general. But yeah, no, like I said, definitely going to feel those strong winds out in those regions there in general. And like I said, we'll just have to watch out for it. We'll just definitely have to keep an eye out there for it. Regarding those winds, because I do expect a lot of that wind activity to change, in terms of where the winds are going to be at. Once again, everybody, like I said, we're talking roughly as of right now, like I was saying, 20 to 30 over here. So then we have, like I said, 30 to 40, and then we have 40 to 50. Not 450. So 40 to 50 there, and of course, across areas here of Cape Cod, that's where the heaviest is going to be. Honestly, that's probably more towards 50 to 60. Maybe gusts even as high as upper 60s could be possible, according to this. Seems to be a possibility. Let's see here. Andy, coming in with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Andy. Greatly appreciate it. Saying, sorry I haven't been able to be here for every stream. You're good, Andy. Don't worry about it, man. I really appreciate it, though. Thank you so much for the support. Much love coming from you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Andy. Much, much appreciated. Very sweet of you. But yeah, like I said, obviously we're going to be feeling some pretty heavy winds out there, across, pretty much these regions, all the way from, I'd even say, extreme eastern New York State, obviously through Connecticut, probably 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, Massachusetts, depending on where you're at. Cape Cod's the worst, 50 to 60. But, a lot of Maine's going to be in the 50s. 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Once again, these are gusts of what the winds could peak at in general. So, whenever it comes to it, overall, that is kind of what we are seeing here with those winds and stuff. So really got to watch out there for that. But anyways, we're gonna go and hop you guys back over here to the surges. Like I said, obviously the surges are going to be the worst across areas here by Cape Cod, like we were explaining here. Cape Cod in general, like I said, we are going to be seeing some pretty heavy effects with the rain, with the winds, and with the overall surging and stuff like that. And like I said, across the yellow area here, like we were explaining, we are seeing like I said, we are seeing, up to 4 foot surges being possible. So basically 4 foot of water above sea level is going to be pushing its way inland. So, 4 foot, might not seem like a lot, but, that's a decent amount of water moving inland, in which, for the, buildings and stuff like that on the beach, could be affected by that in general. So obviously some coastal flooding is expected, the heaviest by Cape Cod, because essentially what's going to happen here is that, by this time the storm approaches over here, by the time the low pressure system approaches in these regions, like I was saying, whenever it comes to it, these systems rotate counterclockwise. So we're going to have a lot of those winds pulling to the east over here, and they're going to actually ride parallel to the coast, and actually all that water is going to be slammed into portions here of the Cape Cod Bay area. So obviously, like I said, with all that counterclockwise activity, it's going to basically rush all of that water. It's going to pull it near the coast, obviously you're parallel to the coast here, and it's just going to drive all of that water to swell across areas here of, Cape Cod. But yeah, am I doing another morning update tomorrow? Yes. Let's see. State of Maine says that my son is a huge fan of your weather channels. So you the most, and he has made a new stream starting soon. Starting soon beat for you. I'm trying to figure out how to add it somewhere so I can send it. I got you. Well, that's sweet. Very, very sweet. Let's see here. Jay says, how'd y'all? Hope I didn't get here too late. No, you're good. Like I said, we've been live here for almost an hour now. But anyways, let's see. What about Buzzards Bay? Where exactly is that at? If you could tell me which general location that is, because I'm not I'm not too familiar with all these areas here. But anyways, yeah, so once again, here's actually the rainfall totals, guys. This is what we are expecting regarding the rain. Once again, I really do expect this to change quite frequently. I really do expect to see this thing change quite a bit overall, because like I was saying, across portions here of eastern Massachusetts through central and eastern Maine, like I said, we're talking 2 to 4 inches of rainfall seems to be a good possibility. Honestly, this actually extends into Nova Scotia too. Nova Scotia, like I said, eastern portions here of Massachusetts, and like I said, central and eastern Maine, we'll be seeing, once get 2 to 4 inches, which, considering we've been seeing a lot of rainfall across these regions, it is definitely not going to be good for those regions. It's definitely been pretty hectic regarding flooding for the last day or so. This is only going to add to more rainfall. We got a little speck right here showing a little area showing 4 to 6 inches. Just a little guy. That's going to change. That's not going to be here next time. Guarantee you. Guarantee that little dot is not going to remain there for long. But anyways, let's see here. Let's see. It's been raining for 3 days already. Says rain. Yeah. No, it has. It's been pretty nuts. Next 24 hours could it turn more west. I really think it's good where it's at right now. You know, honestly, I don't see it pulling too much more to the west because the current model supports we have is very confident on this system kind of ranging right in here. The center more than likely will be right in here. Right in this area here somewhere. The center of the storm. You know, I can even show you the spaghetti models. I mean, you can see the spaghetti models here. Most of those runs there have the system in general basically, you know, being right there, you know, right there off the west coast of Nova Scotia in general. And you can see there's hardly any models, any spaghetti models anyways, that has this thing diving its way into Maine, which I still think is a personal possibility, but it really seems that latest agreement has it right on western Nova Scotia, has almost a direct hit, you know, whenever it comes to it. But yeah, definitely there's that. There's another you know, set of ensembles here. Once again, mostly targeting western Nova Scotia there in terms of a direct landfall there. But that's that. Let's see here. Sorry if I missed it, but what kind of winds do you think for Halton, Maine? Let's see, Halton, Maine? Deal with, thanks. So, Wade, I will show you the overall map here. Like I said, here is an estimate of what we possibly could be seeing here between the blend of models from the National Weather Service blend of models here, taking a bunch of models and kind of combining them together here in general. It's blending those models together for the most part. So like I was explaining, if you look closely, it's around here where we're going to be seeing maybe 50 to 60 mile per hour winds out there, you know, across these regions here, like Cape Cod. Whenever it comes to here, I'll go ahead and highlight that. So that's 50 to 60. Whenever it comes to you know, areas here towards, you know, 40 to 50, those areas in here is probably going to experience right around 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, wind gusts, I should say. And like I said, whenever it comes to it, 30 to 40 across these regions, and you know, maybe up to 15 to 30 across some of these regions out there. In general, like I said, once again, it's mostly the effects, most of the coastal areas that's going to be really affected by this in general. That we need to watch out for. Once again, with Cape Cod, kind of in that bullseye area here, where you know, we're going to see the most heaviest surging, with 2 to 4 foot of surges possible. The most heaviest winds, you know, maybe upwards of, you know, maybe even upper 60s in terms of wind gusts. Could even get up to the lower 70s, I think, possibly. You know, as well as the rainfall too. You know, rainfall is the heaviest for areas of land out there, about 2 to 4 inches in general. So, yeah, I personally think Cape Cod's going to get really hit pretty good with this one. Let's see here. See, any realistic chance if Lee slows down and pulls west that southern New Jersey gets hammered? Nah, not really. It's not really expected at this time. I mean, considering y'all are very far away from the cone at this point. You know, obviously we had a couple of models, you know, several days ago showing to get near some of those regions, but we've ruled that out at this point. In which, you know, this thing is obviously going to remain mostly to the east of you. Like I said, I hardly think New Jersey is going to get really impacted. Only thing is, though, is what I'm worried about for like New Jersey and stuff like that is the overall rip currents, the rip current concern, bigger waves in general. But that's really about all the concerns I have for you. I mean, you're not going to see hardly any rain, if any rain at all, from the system. But yeah, Team Kenny says, "Are my monitors mounted?" They are. They are monitored, or they are they are mounted here. I don't know if y'all can see them. See the reflection on my phone? So if you look down, see there's that one. That's my radar. That's the one program. This WSV3, and then I have my chat right there. You can see the chat. You can see my stream. This is what I look like on the stream, and then this is the outlook, the rain outlook. That's one way I could show you without messing up everything. But yeah, that's what you'll see me looking up, and you'll see me looking down. You'll see me looking that way, all around the monitors. You're gonna see me looking around here. Let's see here. Gypsy says, "Thank you. You're very welcome." Let's see. Will the hurricane hit New York City or Manhattan? No. It's going to remain to the east of New York City and Manhattan. However, like I was explaining though, areas out there by Long Island, could see possibly a little bit of surging out of this here. Whenever it comes to it, like I was saying, you can see right across northern and lower Long Island's coast here. We're talking anywhere from 1 to 2 to 1 to 3 foot of surges being a possibility. So that's basically 1 to 3 foot of waves, or 1 to 3 foot of water being pushed inland in general. But that's that. And you can see obviously the highest, once again, is there for Cape Cod. 2 to 4 inches, or sorry, 2 to 4 foot. 2 to 4 inches wouldn't be too bad, but 2 to 4 feet is kind of what we're seeing out there. Because, like I was explaining again here, is as the system approaches these areas, these systems like to rotate, or they rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, which is going to be dragging all of that water essentially down directly around the coast here, and it's going to be driving its way down through portions of Cape Cod, which is going to increase the water swelling and stuff like that, which is going to be the heaviest affected in those regions. Not to mention, on top of all that water, we're going to see about 2 to 4 inches of more water from rainfall being a possibility in general. So a lot of heavy impacts is expected out there by Cape Cod in general. Let's see here. Planet says I think it's going to turn west in 24 hours. We'll see how that goes. But they said right now the models are actually on fairly decent agreement here. The spaghetti models, like I was explaining here, I mean, literally all of them, as of right now, has this thing hitting western Nova Scotia in general. But that's that. How accurate is the tight spaghetti models 2 to 3 days out in my professional opinion? Well, right now, honestly, like I said, from the last several runs, they have definitely been pretty close together. The closer together they are, the more they are agreeing in terms of where this thing's going to make landfall. But yeah, no, 2 to 3 days out is actually a pretty good, pretty good overall accuracy. We start to see where things could happen right around 5 days out in most cases, but usually 3 days and less is whenever things really start to get pinpointed. So I think we are really starting to pinpoint where this thing's going to be. Once again, probably there. I still think it has a little room to maybe move a little bit more west out there, maybe towards coastal Maine as a landfall area possibility, but right now it's targeting Nova Scotia in general. So that's that. Let's see here, but no, they are pretty accurate right now. 2 to 3 days out, they are fairly accurate. 3+ days out, they're questionable. But yeah, you should get it. Can Lee change direction to go to Ohio? No. No, you gotta, the jet stream is gonna get caught up in the jet stream and eventually get pulled into the Arctic Circle. It's not gonna get near Ohio. Even if it was to just change directions and go directly towards Ohio, it would definitely die out by the time it reaches you. Let's see here. Gypsy coming out with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Gypsy. With the thing saying good job with the little fox. Well, thank you so much, Gypsy. Very sweet of you. Thank you so much. Very sweet. See, I appreciate your explanation. You are very welcome. Like I said, we're here for you guys. I'm just making sure y'all are prepared. Making sure you guys are weather aware out there. That is all we cared about, you guys. That is all we care about here. Oh. We just got some information, a new update from the Hurricane Center, it looks like. Wow. Okay, so it looks like we got a new update from the Hurricane Center. Let's see, did they update the cone or anything? Has it updated? I don't think it's updated. Gypsy, once again, thank you so much. Sorry my thing's a little late. It's just now coming through my stream, but I see it beforehand. But, we have a new update that just came out, maybe. 8 p.m. update. There you go. So not much has changed, actually. Still mostly the same here. Yeah, you can see Bermuda still has that blue, which is representing a tropical storm warning, meaning that tropical storm conditions is expected. Across the yellow, all the way from Cape Cod to Maine and stuff like that. That's kind of where we have those. That's where we have those tropical storm watches, which tropical storm conditions are possible. Let me actually zoom in a little closer to those regions there, so it's a little bit easier to see. In general. Whoops. There we go. Maybe. It's either too far to the right or too far to the left. There we go. So, across these areas here, we're talking, tropical storm watches where tropical storm conditions are possible. And across the pink there, that's where the hurricane watches are in place, where, hurricane conditions are possible. So, I do expect those tropical storm watches to definitely be upgraded to warnings. I'm still a little unsure if those hurricane watches are going to be, pushed into warnings, because right now from the last little bit it seems like the intensity is going to be right there on the teeter-totter between upper tropical storm and lower category 1. It's kind of still kind of weighing itself out right now. So I'm not too sure if those are going to turn into warnings at any point, but I mean, obviously a watch is saying to watch out for possible hurricane conditions. And, you know, like I was saying here in general, across the yellow, definitely think those are going to materialize into tropical storm warnings in general. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, David, I don't know if you saw anybody else in the comments asking how wide it is, but it's about 475 miles wide. Kala actually said that twice in the chat. I don't know if you saw it. But yeah, no, the system's about the tropical storm force winds on the storm right now goes out about... Here, I'm actually going to... You know what? I'm going to bring you all over here again. I'll measure it again for you guys so y'all can see the size of it. So this right here, this is the radius of tropical storm force winds across that like kind of teal, turquoise, blue color. And if I measure the distance from the western side all the way to the east, look at the very top left, right there, right around nearly 475 miles wide. You know, from the top to the bottom is right at 475 miles wide, essentially. And like I said, the red is where the hurricane force winds are at. And the hurricane force winds nearly go out about like 200, see here, nearly go out about 200 miles. Actually go a little over 200 miles there. Look at that. 207, basically from left to right in regarding to hurricane force winds right now. And so, I mean, you can obviously imagine the system's still growing in size. And by the time it gets up here, I mean, we're at least going to be tropical storm conditions over across those areas. Bermuda's going to get it regarding those winds and stuff like that. I mean, we are expecting, you know, heavy impacts out there. Let's see here. Thank you so much, NWW16. Seeing Mars Live. Sounds good, Hope. Thank you for being here. But yeah, but that's just, you know, kind of what we're seeing here, here in general, you know, overall. So we'll just have to, you know, watch out there for that. Let's see here. Wargaming says hi. What's up? Hope you're doing good. Rin says, oh wow, yeah, like I said, it's definitely a pretty big storm. It's a pretty big storm in general. So we're gonna really need to just watch this for the next little bit. Anyways, but let's go ahead and hop you guys back over here to the rainfall in general. Except we're going to go ahead and bring you guys over here to the latest information on the rainfall. Like I said, here's a outlook coming in from the Weather Prediction Center. This, like I said, the latest information here overall. Like I said, this can still change a bit, but right now, according to the latest Weather Prediction Center outlook, we are talking across the areas here in the dark green of kind of around 2 to 4 inches being possible. So that includes most of central eastern Maine. Obviously out there by, like I said, obviously out there by Cape Cod and those regions in eastern Massachusetts, we are talking 2 to 4 inches as well. So, you know, some flooding could be possible. I mean, like I was explaining here, these regions across the northeast have been getting pounded by rain. And actually here in the current state right now, we do have some flash flood warnings in place because of more rain just keeps on driving through here overall. So, you know, like I was explaining here, it's just they're getting a lot more rain out of the system. Actually, let's go and hop over to this guy. They're getting a lot more rain out of the system in general. So this is just going to add to even more flooding problems for these regions here. And like I said, whenever it comes to surging as well, like I was explaining, you know, areas here along the entire Maine's coast is right around 1 to 3 foot of surges being possible out there. You know, like I said, that's that. And of course we have, you know, of course, we actually have ourselves, you know, 2 to 4 foot of surges being a possibility out here by, you know, Cape Cod, as we were expecting. You know, Cape Cod with 2 to 4 inches of rain and 2 to 4 inches of storm surge being a, you know, expectancy as of right now, is kind of, you know, what we are seeing here. Let's see, Little Aaron's Weather Alert Channel. What's up? Hope you're doing good. Let's see, Edit says, thank you for all the info. I really appreciate it. You're very welcome. You are very, very welcome, my friends. Like I said, we care about y'all. Want to make sure you guys are staying safe out there, you know. Like I said, if y'all have any questions, I'll try my best to get to them. I'll try my best to answer your questions. So, you know, like I said, we'll be here for y'all. But anyways, let's go and hop over here to the satellite. So this is the current storm right now, y'all. You can see the storm does have an eye. There's a bit of dry air, though. Here, let me actually pause it on the latest scan here. But you can see it right actually at this scan here in general. You can really see, so that's the eye. There's a bit of dry air up here. It's a bit of dry air up there. So there's kind of a big dry slot going on in the storm right now, which, you know, is a sign that it's starting to take in a bit of dry air. Because, I mean, look at this, guys. I want to show you something that's pretty crazy. So with this storm down in time, let me full screen this actually. So with this storm here down in time, whenever it comes to the overall moisture, you can see that the right-hand side just gets covered in all that brown. that is representing some real low humidity and overall really dry air. Lower the humidity, the more drier the air is. More higher the humidity, the more moisture filled, or the more moisture is held in the atmosphere. You guys should probably know that. Most of you guys know that. But when it comes to it, you can see there's a lot of dry air infiltration that really rocks its way to the eastern side of the storm here, or the system. And you can see a lot of that heavy rain is just going to be, mostly pushed up against the western side. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see trends include the northeast with more rainfall than areas by Nova Scotia, considering this dry air. I feel like that Nova Scotia might actually have more of a wind concern and surges and stuff like that. Rain obviously is still going to happen across those regions, but it looks like it's just going to be more dry, for those areas. More dry for those areas out there. But yeah, so that's kind of what we are seeing here in general. My exact point right here is you can actually see Nova Scotia right here. Obviously we have all of those winds just shooting right at the coast there. It's going to allow for that, swelling to occur, above sea level, with those surges and stuff like that. And on top of that, like I was explaining, all this brown is showing dry air, which obviously is representing not much rain, obviously a lot of dry conditions, but that wind field will still be intact across these regions. If I show you guys the winds, you'll still see that those winds are pretty strong, well over 50 knots across these areas here in the orange and red, which is pretty solid wind still. So like I said, that's kind of what it seems to be. It's like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing those trends maybe drop a little bit for rainfall for Nova Scotia. It really depends on the exact path of the storm here, actually. The more east it goes, obviously the more rainfall we could possibly get across Nova Scotia, and the less across the northeast. The more west it goes, less rainfall for them, and more rainfall for the northeast here in general. Let's see here, but that is that. Let's see here. I'll try to see you tomorrow because I have school. Have a great day. See you later, edits. Take care. Let's see, Courtney says, please remember to hit that like. Like I said, we don't ask for anything on this channel, guys, but if you guys do enjoy it, consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing, because we're getting close to 19,000, y'all. We're so close. We're so close. We're only like 35 subscribers away. I think we could probably reach this here soon. If not tonight, we could probably do it tomorrow. So that's a goal. By tomorrow night, see if we can have 19,000. That's a good goal. Let's see here. I wonder why Philadelphia had aerial flood watch, even though we aren't even in the path of the hurricane. So there's actually a lot of water that's not a part of the system. Let me actually show you. So like I said, we had a cold front that rolled through. Wrong screen. I could have used that, but we had a cold front that rolled through essentially, which obviously led to a lot of rain falling across these regions here. So like I said, yeah, we had a bit of rain across these areas. Like I said, we've had a lot of flooding up there in the northeast here over the last day or so. But, this storm's not going to help with that. It's actually going to make the conditions a little worse, considering we're going to get a lot more rain coming through. Here, let me actually switch you all over here to this. You can actually see the cold front as a whole. We got a low-pressure system up there by eastern Canada, driving some air. So basically what's happening here, you got a cold front right here. And what's going on with that cold front is you get a lot of warm air, a lot of stronger winds pointing to the northeast, and that's actually what's causing the storm from continuing to move to the northwest. It's actually causing it to steer to the north, because this cold front is actually driving more of that wind shear across the eastern side. As the cold front's moving east, it's bringing some strong upper level winds too, which is going to steer the storm essentially. Rex says, spread the word and hit that like button. Thanks so much, Rex. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, no, like I said, that's essentially kind of what we are seeing here. What will the winds be like in Rockland, Maine? Let's go ahead and hop you all over here back to the models regarding potential rainfall, or sorry, potential winds. Whenever it comes to it, like I was explaining here, though, we definitely could see some pretty gusty winds. I mean, across Maine, it definitely seems like a good possibility here. So once again, this is the National Weather Service blend of models. Once again, it takes a bunch of models, kind of blends them together overall. Whenever it comes down to it, though, like I was explaining, at its heaviest peak, it seems to be right here for the morning of the 16th. So basically here for right around 8 a.m. for the 16th seems to be like the heaviest for areas like Cape Cod. But for Maine, like you were explaining, for basically central and coastal Maine, we're talking maybe 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So winds getting up to 40 to 50 for a few given seconds. For the northern side, I mean, obviously you guys are probably going to experience that as well. Most of Maine will experience 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts out of this entire storm here. So Maine's definitely going to be hit pretty good. Like I was explaining, I think the heaviest winds obviously are going to be for the coast, yeah. But I think we could see some real nasty winds out there by Cape Cod in general, because it's where it thins out there, and overall, like I was explaining, we got this low pressure. It's just driving a bunch of strong winds and a bunch of water towards that northern side, which is going to allow for flooding. Once again, 2 to 4 foot of storm surge, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, as well as, like I was explaining there, overall really windy conditions here, possibly over 60 miles per hour in terms of wind gusts could be a possible outcome. But yeah, that's just kind of what we are overall seeing here for the most part. And like I said, here's that surging overall outlook here, guys, like I was explaining there. Once again, Cape Cod, 2 to 4 foot. We actually are expecting a little bit of surging potential out there by Long Island, for the southern side, maybe we're on 1 to 2 foot of storm surge. For the northern side, maybe right around 1 to 3 foot. And of course, the entire Maine coast, same thing, about 1 to 3 foot of storm surge is expected across those regions in general. Once again, with the highest being across areas here by like Cape Cod. But yeah, that's that. Hopefully that answered your question there, Alex, though, regarding the winds. So, but like I was explaining, yeah, pretty much most of Maine, or pretty much all of Maine here, at some point it's going to be experiencing here probably 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts overall, out of the system here. But yeah, that's that. That is what we are seeing here. Anyways, let's go and see here. Do they have anything on the SPC outlook? I don't think they do. Let's see here. This is for the 15th, 16th. We don't have anything. Yeah, because like I said, the dirty side, the nasty side of the storm, which is the right-hand side, remains mostly off the U.S. So that would be good. Unless it, digs more inland, I don't see that really happening. Obviously it could become close, but I don't see much of a problem for tornadoes out of this event, at least for the United States. Nova Scotia probably could get a few isolated tornadoes, because like I was explaining here, on the right-hand side of the system here overall. The right-hand side is where you have the strongest winds, the most instability, and overall the conditions that are needed for tornadoes happens on the right-hand side. The left-hand side, not really in general, but that's that. So look out for a couple tornadoes, I'd say, by Nova Scotia too. Would happen probably between the 16th and 17th is probably when we would feel those. But yeah. Curious of the possible time it makes landfall in Nova Scotia, or high tide happens at 10 p.m. Saturday. Concerned about overland water / storm surge. So what it looks like here, I'll bring up a couple of forecast models like the GFS. We'll look at a couple of them for timing overall. I believe you guys are in. Like I said, I believe you guys are in the Eastern time, right? Is Nova Scotia still in the Eastern time, or are you guys in a more Eastern time than we are? I don't know, but anyways, but it kind of shows the storm here for the time we are in the Eastern U.S., kind of right around 8 p.m. for the 16th, according to the GFS. The same thing, like whenever it comes to the the European model, we did switch models, believe it or not. They're actually really in agreement right now between the main GFS and the main ECMWF here. Yeah, the whole right-hand side. We'll be getting pretty daggone close to land there, right around the right around 8 p.m. or so, according to this model, making landfall not until later on. Just depends on where it hits. Obviously if it's further east and it hits this area, it would be earlier than if it hits up there by like New Brunswick and those regions. But yeah, no, that's an evening time of the 16th is when we're expecting landfall to occur. With the heaviest effects across the United States being right there for right around the morning of the 16th. Once again, that's kind of what we are, kind of what we are seeing here in general. See, this is actually the first time I saw a hurricane that was that big. Oh, it's a beast. It's a big storm, that's for sure. Let me actually show you guys the full Atlantic. This might be able to put some of it in perspective of how big the storm is. I know perspective is a little wonky right now, but look at that. So there you go. That shows you the size of the storm. And you know what? It's actually forecasted to maybe get a little bit bigger too. Forecasted to maybe even pick up a little bit of strength and or not strength, but speed or size. Sorry. Yeah, it's a big cane. It's a real big cane. I mean, it's I think it's bigger than Texas. It's nearly as big as Texas, if it's not bigger than Texas here. There's Texas right there. Kind of hard to see, but It's a big storm. Regardless, it's a real big storm. And so those tropical storm force winds, like I was explaining here, go out about 500 miles. I mean, right around 475 miles out. With 475, which definitely some pretty wide tropical storm force wind margins there. And with the hurricane conditions, the hurricane winds right now, we're talking about 200 miles wide, essentially, that's happening. So that is that. But anyways, well, guys, I tell you what, we're not going to end, but I am going to take a break here. We'll probably head off here. I plan on doing a little longer live stream tonight since we're kind of getting closer to it overall. But I do think we're going to take a break here for probably about 5 minutes. So, like I said, go just, at this point, go grab yourself a snack. Go grab yourself something to eat. Grab yourself something to drink. But we'll be back here in like 5 minutes, guys. So just to give me a second to rest the voice, maybe stretch a minute, and then we'll be back to get this thing here. It's a monster storm, and it's a Cat 2 hurricane. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. It's an upper Cat 2, actually. Yep. It's 105 sustained with gusts up to 125, I believe. Let's see, did they update that? Yep, still the same. See, Atlantic Daylight Time. So, I believe that's... No, it's not the same. No, I think you guys are an hour before Eastern Time. Anyways. All right, y'all. Well, y'all hang tight. Don't go anywhere. Like I said, we'll be back here in 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and bring that over here. I'll keep you guys up here with some pretty cool graphics and stuff so y'all can see what's going on here overall. Keep you guys forecasted in the cone. Keep the cone up there. And, all right. Well, you guys, give me a minute. Like I said, once again, grab yourself a snack. Grab yourself something to eat. If you've not already, consider subscribing. And, all right, guys, we'll be back here in a few moments. Catch you guys in a minute. Alrighty, guys, we are back here with the live updates here. Actually, let me turn off this light here real quickly. This light's a little bright. Alright, we're good. We're good. Alright, so what's up, everybody? Welcome back here to the updates overall. Like I said, we're going to probably continue these updates for a little bit longer today. I mean, we've already been live for about an hour and a half overall. But we're back here, you guys. But anyways, but yeah, no, like I said, what we picked up on just a few minutes ago is, like I said, the system is absolutely enormous. You know, like I was explaining here, this thing is probably, it looks like it's actually bigger than Texas. I mean, look at that. Look at the size of Texas over here compared to the storm here. I mean, like we were explaining here, overall, the system, like I said, is about 475 miles wide with the tropical storm force. The storm's bigger than that, but like I said, the tropical storm force winds only go out about, you know, like I said, 475, which is pretty crazy. Let's see here. Tim says no picture. There's a picture. But yeah, like I was explaining, that was really big overall. Let's see. But overall, like I said, obviously we have, you know, the hurricane force winds too. Like I said, those are extending about 190 miles overall. Like I said, really, really big hurricane force winds right now too. Like I was explaining, this thing is expected to cause tropical storm conditions out there by portions of Bermuda. As we do actually have ourselves, like I said, you know, tropical storm warnings in place for those regions. Just going to hop you guys back over here. So right now, like I said, we have tropical storm warnings in place for Bermuda. We have newly issued tropical storm watches for portions along, you know, like I said, central coastal Maine, all the way down to coastal Rhode Island there, where we are seeing the possibility of tropical storm force conditions, you know, being a possibility there overall. So that's that. So where tropical storm conditions are, you know, possible down in time. We do actually have ourselves a few hurricane watches in place for central and northeastern coastlines here of Maine, saying, you know, like I said, there's a possibility that we could be seeing, you know, maybe some hurricane conditions because, you know, this system's ultimately expected to kind of be in that threshold of right around, you know, upper level tropical storm, lower in category 1 seems to be like, you know, kind of the overall verdict here. But yeah, but like I said, you know, that's, you know, I'm still not exactly sure if those are actually going to ever pan out to be hurricane warnings or not. I mean, they're there just to say to watch because, like I was explaining though, is it's really low in category 1 at this point here. I mean, can say, you know, taking in consideration of all the stuff that this thing's going to be running into along the way, you know, with the strong winds that's going to start to amplify on the storm, it's going to cause it to start ripping apart. A lot of dry air that's located right over the Midwest Ohio Valley right now. That dry air is going to get sucked up into the storm and cause it to, you know, obviously start to dry out a bit. And on top of that, the waters get a bit, you know, obviously a lot cooler down here. You know, a lot cooler up in these regions once it passes up here towards the northeast. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of factors in consideration here that I'm not real sure if they are going to lead up to hurricane conditions in general. I think it'll definitely still be upper tropical storm force, but, you know, like I was explaining, there's still a little bit of, you know, questions overall into kind of what we are seeing here in general. So, you know, definitely got to look out there for it. Let's see here. Judy, coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Judy, very sweet, says, I wonder if I ought to do both sites on the same day. Yeah, I saw you giving some support to TRG as well. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. But Judy, thank you so much. I'm sure, like I said, TRG, I'm sure he appreciates it as well. So big shout out goes to you, Judy, for helping out me and TRG. You rock. Let's see here. To be honest, I wish that Hurricane Lee was going to hit the East Coast where I am because I want the school to be canceled. I get that you want school to be canceled. Trust me, I get that. But, you know, wishing it to be hitting on the East Coast would mean it would be stronger. You know, that's the only bad thing. If it was to hit the East Coast, which it's not going to right now, I mean, like I said, obviously the Mid-Atlantic or Southeastern, what you're kind of talking about. Like I said, at that point, it would be a bit stronger because, you know, right now it's category 2. Right now it's an upper level category 2 hurricane. Once again, sustained winds of, you know, right around 105 with gusts still getting up to 125 out there. So definitely is a little brutal. But anyways, but let's go and take a look here, guys, overall at the overall rainfall projections. Now, once again, I do expect these to change quite a bit as we work our way down in time here. Like I said, obviously the models, they're going to still need to come to an agreement here, so there's still a lot of things that we don't know, but we have a general idea of what things could look like. And here's, like I said, their overall rainfall potential, you know, with this storm here overall right now. We are talking about, like I said, maybe 2 to 4 inches of rainfall expected across central eastern Maine, as well as eastern Massachusetts, out there by Nova Scotia. I mean, Boston's kind of close to that line between 1 and 2 and 2 and 4. So you're kind of right there in that line. Boston's probably going to see a decent amount of rain, at least an inch or two could be possible across Boston. As of right now, as things are suggesting overall. But most of the rain, most of the precipitation accumulated will be across Maine, obviously. Mostly for the central and eastern side here of the state in general. And like I said, but whenever it comes to the like the surges and stuff like that, coastal Maine, we're getting right around 1 to 3 foot of surges being a good possibility out there. I mean, same thing for coastal New Hampshire. Like this is the 13 miles or so that covers the water there. But coastal New Hampshire, same thing, 1 to 3 foot. But look what happens when we get down towards Cape Cod. That's where we're going to have a lot of the strongest winds here overall. So we have the low pressure here. It's basically going counterclockwise. And it is dragging all of that water parallel to the beach. And it's basically just, pushing all that water against Cape Cod here, which is causing the water to swell, start to rise overall. And like I said, obviously this thing rotates counterclockwise, so it's going to be pulling a bit of pull a bit of water away from areas near like Nantucket. It'll pull a little bit of water away from once it reaches this point here, because obviously it starts pulling it into the system again, and that actually leads us over here to Nantucket. We're talking 2 to 4 feet out there by Nantucket as well. Let's see, Martha's Vineyard, around 1 to 3 foot. Surges being a good possibility, and I mean, shoot, even down there towards portions like Long Island. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Even for like all of Long Island here, I mean, we're talking at least 1 to 2 foot of surges expected. I mean, all the way between Montauk Point, however you say that, and Rockaway Inlet. Between those two areas, 1 to 2 foot. In between areas here by between Montauk Point, as well as Flushing. Between these regions, we're talking about 1 to 3, so maybe slightly higher surging could be possible overall. So, like I said, if you guys don't know what surging is, like I was explaining, it's basically at the worst case. So, for example, we'll take Cape Cod for an example here, 2 to 4 foot of surges being possible. And overall, like I was saying here, we're talking 2 to 4 foot of water being pushed inland above sea level. So that's going to lead to some coastal flooding, maybe even a bit of coastal erosion too. Because like I was explaining here, they hardly get these systems that come out here. They get nor'easters, which is pretty similar to some degree. But obviously tropical storm, tropical conditions brings more of a water hazard, rather than a nor'easter. Because a nor'easter obviously, has a bunch of snow with it, but whenever it comes to tropical cyclones, there's a lot of rain and a lot more flooding involved. And that's why this system's going to be a little bit more nasty than your typical nor'easter. Is because a lot more water is involved with this here. I mean, because obviously in the Northeast, the snow, obviously there's a lot of accumulated water, but it's in form of snow, which it slowly melts. Meanwhile, you have this, which is going to be pushing a bunch of water inland and raining a decent amount. Like I was explaining here, the rain amounts could be up in the tone of 2 to 4 inches overall. I mean, we're talking a decent amount of rainfall, which can definitely possibly lead to flooding in general. So that, like I said, that's kind of what we're seeing as of now. And like I was explaining here, I do expect that to obviously change here. The overall accumulations, I do expect those to change. I mean, right now for the same areas here by Nova Scotia, we're talking right around 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. But as we did see there on the models, we're going to get a lot of dry air infestation start to really kick its way up here across the eastern side of the cyclone, which is going to allow probably less rainfall for those areas. I really think that we're going to see maybe a little bit more less rainfall out here, and we'll see probably a little bit more rainfall over here. I think we're going to kind of weigh things out here, because most of that convection is going to be blown to the northwest here, or pushed to the northwest, I should say, because of the dry air in general. So I think that the rain potential could increase for areas like Maine, and I think they probably could drop a little bit towards Nova Scotia. But once again, that's just my personal opinion here. That's what I think. I mean, just considering, like I said, the overall verdict of what we've been seeing out of the system for the last several days and the models and stuff like that. I mean, for example, let me actually full screen this for you guys, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So with the overall moisture, like I was explaining, as it works its way up here towards Nova Scotia, you can actually see we have Yeah, we have Massachusetts. This is coastal New Hampshire right here, and this is the coast of Maine, and then there's Nova Scotia right there. So you can actually see that all that brown, which is representing low humidities across a lot of the atmosphere, a bunch of dry air infestation, a bunch of dry air just gets sucked its way up here into the eastern side of the storm, which, like I said, is going to allow for less rain overall. I mean, if I was to show you the precipitation, you can see how it's more heavy on the western side according to the models. In general, I could use a better, higher resolution model to show you guys this here. As you can actually see at this point being, the HWRF model here showing a lot of that heavier rainfall activity to the west out there by coastal Maine, rather than areas here by Nova Scotia, which, you know, obviously that's that. You know, I do expect, you know, Maine to probably get a little bit more higher rainfall totals than what's currently forecasted, but we'll see how that plays out. Let's see here. See you later, Court. Let's see. Between the rain softening the ground and the high winds with trees full of leaves, they will probably have quite a few trees come down. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so that's kind of what I've been talking about here overall is that, you know, the leaves, like you said, are still intact, which allows more drag on those trees due to the wind. So that is going to be putting a lot more force on those trees. Plus, like you explained, with the, you know, the ground softening up there from all of the water and stuff like that, you know, like I said, that's kind of what we're seeing here in general. So we're going to be seeing that. Cool says so close to 20K subs. I know, we're getting close. I think we can do it here soon, y'all. It's good to see that many people are being prepared with the weather. I mean, right now we're only 28 subscribers away from 19,000. We're getting close, y'all. Getting real close. Can't thank you guys more than enough for all the support. Like I said, we love y'all. We just want to make sure you guys are being safe out there and just, you know, being prepared. Let's check on the recon. Actually, well, we got a mission in there right now. I just realized. Let's see. So the last thing I had updated, the pressure was at 9. What was it at? Did I mention the pressure? I don't think I did. No, because I changed it to showing the watches that have been issued. So the pressure right now, 951 millibars. Yep. Still 951 millibars. So right now they're flying in the western side of the storm. Like I said, there's a bit of dry air in this region here. A lot of dry air, you know, between the eye and, you know, obviously the northwest quadrant here. But like I said, yeah, we're getting the plane. Obviously, we went through the eye there once, did that little that drop sond, and it turned. So what they're going to do now is here soon they're going to be turning up to the north, and they're going to be going for it again. They're going to go back into it, check up on the northeast side of the storm, and they're going to drive south. Not drive, but fly south, and they're going to get some data on the bottom right-hand side. And they may or may not go back in the eye again. That's a possibility, or they're just going to go back home. It's another possibility. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing here. You know, that's kind of what we're looking at overall. So, like I said, here soon, in the next path, they're going to be flying right back up into the center again here. They're just collecting data on the southwestern side of the storm right now. But we'll be getting some more eye data here very soon, more than likely. Let's see here. Oh, we got another. Wow, we got another one in the storm too. Actually, it's not just one. This is low level. Wow. Let's see here. So the winds are peaking around 75 knots from what they've gathered. On the right-hand side of the eye wall, it looks like. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to do a little bit of calculations real quickly. Knots conversion to miles an hour. So that would be right around 70. That's about 73 knots they've recorded. It's about 84 miles an hour. Obviously, it has higher winds than that. You know, right now it's said to have 105 sustained with higher gusts. So that's that. Let's see here. Is Connecticut going to be hit by this? So, whenever it comes to Connecticut, I mean, yeah, we're going to have some effects out there. Let me actually go ahead and show you guys the wind probabilities. So, you can see out there by Connecticut, I mean, honestly, so this is the blend of models here, kind of giving you mixed, mixed models, opinions overall. And between the averages, between most, a lot of models here, it does show, possibly eastern, central Massachusetts, or not Massachusetts, sorry, Connecticut, could be getting up there, maybe up to 40s, maybe near 50 mile per hour wind gusts. I mean, it could get a little windy out there. Once again, these are gusts, what the winds could peak at, essentially. Not what they're sustained at, so they're gonna peak higher than what they're sustained. But like I was explaining, though, I mean, that's just kind of what we're seeing here. But as we work way out there by Cape Cod, like I was explaining, though, that's where things start to get a little crazy. Maybe even up there towards 70 mile per hour wind gusts could theoretically be possible. So that's that. Let's see here. Is it possible the storm could shift east or west a little more? It could, but it would likely remain in that cone it has right now. Like, for example, here's the cone we have. If it was to shift, it would be either to the right, inside the cone, or to the left. Somewhere in here is what we're expecting. Like I said, it seems like the latest models, as we're going to look at here in a second, latest spaghetti models really shows Western Nova Scotia really getting slammed here. And let me actually go ahead and show you guys that real quickly. If I was to move y'all over here to... Uh-oh, I think I opened something. I opened Discord. Speaking of Discord, it's in the description. But anyways, but what I was explaining here is that the spaghetti models, overall, like I was explaining, have a pretty solid standpoint here on Western Nova Scotia. I know it's kind of hard to see. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm actually, I might be able to do this. Let's see here, make that a little bigger. There we go. You can see it a little better now. But you can see, yeah, Western Nova Scotia seems like the overall, the overall view there. Let's see here. Wolfgamer says, hi, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Glad to have you here. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, like I was explaining though, once again, y'all, it seems like right now, it seems like the most likelihood of landfall would be right there across areas like, between Maine, across the northeast side of the Gulf of Maine, as well as Western Nova Scotia seems to be like the best probability, the best likelihood of landfall. I mean, seems like most of those spaghetti models we were talking about has it right in this area here. Really not too much support of any of those, going towards Maine. I mean, I still think it could trend a little bit more to the west here. But that's that. But Wolfgamer, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Glad to have you here. Hope everything is well with you. Let's see here. But let's see here. Tim says, "Hey, Andrew's a nice guy." I try to be. You should treat people how you want to be treated. I really live by that quote. And I've always been the type of person that loves helping out people. If it doesn't really show, I am one of those people. And so, like I said, what I do here is obviously for your all safety, and that's it. That's all we care about. Let's see here. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're seeing at right now. Let's go and hop you guys back over here to those rainfall totals. It even looks like New Brunswick could possibly see their way up to maybe even 2 to 4 inches of rainfall as well. You can actually see right in those regions here from the Weather Prediction Center outlook here of the latest scan. It does look like we are going to be seeing a possibility here of, like I said, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, which, like I said, once again, the Northeast has been getting hit pretty solid by rain here for the last little bit. So this is not going to be anything good for them because they're going to be getting a lot more overall impacts here, a lot more rainfall, which is really, not really the best in general. So like I was explaining here, hopefully it'll, hopefully things will. Not be too crazy, but unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be possible. Will Rhode Island get some wind and rain? Yes. So rain, not too much. I mean, there's, a little bit of rain is going to be expected. Probably nothing too crazy as of right now anyways. But like I was explaining with the winds here, at the blend of models, the NWS, National Weather Service blend of models here, it kind of has those winds peaking up there by Rhode Island, maybe right around 40 to 50 miles per hour. So, overall, we're talking gusts, not sustained winds. We're talking gusts. So the winds could get up to, that overall standpoint in general. Let's see here. This is really weird. My YouTube channel says we have 19,000, but my YouTube studio says we only have 18,977. So I don't know what to believe. Are we at 19,000? I don't know. Let's see here. But that's that here. Let's see. Those Maritimers are hardy breed youngin. What? Let's see. It's been a long while since I don't know. Let's see. Wait. It's been a long while since I possibly didn't know if there'd be hail with hurricanes or not. No. Like I said, they're warm systems. They rarely carry hail. Unless there's rapid intensification happening, or either you get a kick up of a thunderstorm on the outer skirts of the storm. That's the only way you'd probably see hail. But usually the inner bands and stuff like that don't, unless it's strengthening, which, by the time it moves over land, it's not going to be strengthening anymore. It's going to be doing nothing but weakening at that point. But, that's that. Did we just get a new... Wait, hold on a minute, y'all. Wait, what? What the heck is going on with my program? So we got a model. Excuse me? What's going on here? So we got an area out here in the Eastern Pacific that could develop. I haven't talked about it because it doesn't look like it's going to do too much. Why is the spaghetti models connected to this different storms? What? I am so confused right now. What is going on with this? Anyways, let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, we have a tropical storm watch. Yes, we do actually have ourselves tropical storm watches. Let me actually go ahead and show you all something real quickly. So we'll go ahead and bring you all back over here to the. We'll go ahead and bring you guys back over here to the overall watches and stuff like that. So here is the latest. We're going to zoom in a little bit. So like I said, obviously Bermuda is in that dark blue, which the dark blue shows tropical storm warnings. That's where we are expecting tropical storm conditions. You know, tropical storm conditions is expected at this point. You know, like I was explaining right now, this area here in yellow, this right here, my friends, this is where the tropical storm force winds are felt. This is where the tropical storm force winds are felt here. And like I said, obviously the hurricane conditions are felt in this circle here, the inner circle. So overall, like I was explaining here, as this thing pulls to the north, it's actually potentially going to pick up a little bit more size. It's going to become even larger. And overall, that would obviously easily put Bermuda into tropical storm, conditions in general. But then, like I said, we work way up to the north here as we approach, areas here of central coastal Maine, all the way throughout, New Hampshire's coast and to Cape Cod, and even as far to the bottom as, Rhode Island's coast there. These regions here have tropical storm watches. Like I was explaining, which says that, tropical storm conditions are possible. It means you got to monitor the conditions over the next couple of days. Like I said, I do expect those to ultimately change in the warnings at some point. But like I said, then we have to have ourselves, hurricane watches in place, which, like I said, basically shows that we have hurricane conditions possible right there from the central to upper coast of Maine here. Hurricane conditions possible. But honestly, like I said, I was explaining that I don't know if that's going to materialize into hurricane warnings. The reason is because it seems like it's on a teeter-totter right now between being an upper-level tropical storm and being a lower-level hurricane. So in order to be a Category 1 hurricane, it must have winds of at least 75 miles per hour and higher. And at the point of it being at the northeast, you can see wind speeds sustained are right at 75. If it's any lower than that, it would be a tropical storm. So, like I said, it's going to be either an upper tropical storm or a lower in Category 1. I mean, it even has some time to move before it reaches there towards Maine. So, like I was explaining, also the models have been kind of trending this thing a little bit more to the right, a little bit more to the east here, out there really over Nova Scotia. So I think that it could change. So I'm not really too sold on the idea if we do have ourselves, like I said, I'm not too sold on the idea if we do have ourselves those hurricane watches that will ultimately change into that. Let's see here. Your live stream keeps stopping here and quits and comes back on. Is that a problem for all of you guys? Are you guys experiencing any problems with my stream right now? Interesting. Yeah, no one told me about it. This morning we had some problems with it, but now it seemed to be okay. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't go crazy again like it did this morning. But anyways, here's the current satellite view, guys. This is currently what we are seeing in the storm right now. Like I said, we have a lot of dry air actually on the western flank here. Overall, like I said, overall, and for the most part, like I said, we've got a lot of dry air here overall. That is that. Let's see. Sean says no. Hot Dog says no issues. Okay, good. Yeah, it seems like a lot of y'all are saying that's good. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So it must be on your end then. Go West. Must be on your end. But like I was explaining, though, is that we do have ourselves a bit of dry air that's actually on the western side. I mean, obviously we have the eye here. The eye is still visible. But, yeah, there's a bit of dry air on the left-hand side. It's probably not too good for the storm. It's probably not good for the storm in general. But, but like I was saying, though, that is that. Let's see. I think it's their internet. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, because like I said, you guys are saying it's not bad. So, and it doesn't show me any connection problems over here right now. So I think we're good. Yeah, I think it's just Go West's Wi-Fi there. It's acting up a bit. But anyways, let's go and hop over back to the HWRF model. But like I was explaining, though, overall, guys, let's go ahead and full screen this for you all. But like I was explaining here, in general, we're going to be getting a lot of dry air. That's going to be really cranking itself. Look at that. HWRF has this thing having a bit of dry air problems for the next couple of hours. Yeah, but there you go. Like I said, obviously we have the circulation with all of that rain to push to the northeast, or sorry, to the northwest here, because like I said, let me show you this. The moisture in the storm here is going to become pretty low on the right hand side. You can see how it's kind of more white and brown. That's basically saying that we don't have as much rainfall in those regions because the humidity is lower across those regions, below 50 actually, below 50 degrees, or sorry, below 50% humidity. Sorry, across those areas here in the brown, and above 50 across the areas here in the bluish green color. So yeah, most of the moisture is caught up in the northwestern quadrant, and like I was explaining here, according to HWRF, it does have most of, not just this model, but has most of that rain pushed further out here to the west here in general. But yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing here. Kind of what we are looking at here in general. So we'll have to definitely have to be looking out there for this overall. Let's see here. Is the future so whenever it comes to that storm, actually, yeah, we're still watching that one. They did upgrade the probabilities overall. So right now we're talking like I said, we're talking, overall. Wow, they actually just updated it even more since the last time I saw it. So over the next week, it has a 90% chance of developing. In the next 2 days, it has an 80% chance of developing here overall. So that is kind of what we are seeing here in general. So obviously it is, it obviously is gonna happen essentially at this point. Now when it comes to the models and stuff like that, I haven't really dove into those too much. But let me hop over to 97L. So it looks like gradual northwest movement is going to be expected here overall. But, like I was explaining, though, it seems like it's actually aiming out to sea for the most part. I mean, some of the ensembles has it getting caught up in just being a fish storm overall. I think a fish storm right now seems to be the best probability of it. I mean, obviously if it changes, we'll let you know, but I'm not too worried about it. But this thing definitely does look like it will become a hurricane at some point in its life, as, we are expecting rapid development over the next 3 to 4 days or so. Over the next 3 to 4 days. So, like I said, that's kind of what we are seeing here in general. But yeah, models are pretty confident on this thing. Yes, definitely becoming a hurricane at some point. Some models even support a major hurricane, further down the line. But we'll just have to keep an eye on that storm. But right now, it kind of seems like it's mostly a fish storm overall. Once again, it doesn't seem like it's anything extreme at the current moment. Like I said, obviously we have Lee, though, which Lee is a problem because, Lee's going to be hitting land for sure. I mean, Lee is forecasted to cause a bunch of issues there for Nova Scotia, as well as, like I said, New Brunswick, even Maine, too, and, eastern Massachusetts. I mean, yeah, Lee's going to cause a bunch of problems. Lee's going to cause a lot of problems out there, unfortunately. But like I said, whenever it comes to the timing, guys, once again, with this system overall, like I said, we are talking the 15th through the 16th and into the 17th is when we are expecting those heaviest conditions overall. I am going to go live here probably for the afternoon of the 16th. That's probably when I'm going to go live. Like I said, obviously I'm going to be here for the coverage on the storm here as it does make landfall, or gets close to it. We'll be here because we'll have a lot of views on the storm here overall. We'll be able to get a lot of information, a lot of key info on the storm here. So, like I said, we'll make sure to, we'll make sure to keep you guys in the loop here. We'll make sure to keep you guys focused and, prepared. That's all that matters here. But anyways, yeah, that's that, y'all. Let's see here. We've been live almost 2 hours now, so I'm not sure how much longer we're going to continue this live stream today. Or for now, I should say. We'll be doing another live stream tomorrow morning, I'm sure, like we usually do in general. But anyways, yeah, you guys rock. Once again, appreciate all of your support. We love you guys. Just please be safe out there. And like I said, just continue monitoring the system. Because we're gonna need to be on high alert for the next couple of days here. And one last go through. I guess we'll go through it one more time, y'all. We'll go through all the specs and what we're seeing right now, and then we're gonna call it a night. Because it's almost 9 o'clock and stuff, so I think we're going to be calling it a night here very soon. But like I was explaining, guys, overall, Whenever it comes to the overall verdict here from the Hurricane Center, let's see here. We'll go ahead and bring up the NHC. Like I was saying here, overall, with the rainfall and stuff like that, we are talking, a decent amount. Like I said, I definitely do think this is a subject to change in general. Let's see, wave heights in the Gulf of Maine, says Tim. All right, we'll look at that here in a second. But like I said, in regarding to the rainfall, essentially across the eastern side of Massachusetts into central and eastern portions of Maine, we are talking about 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, which, that's a decent amount. That is definitely a decent amount of rainfall that is, going to be expected. Right now, Nova Scotia and New Brunswick is mostly, mostly in that same boat there, around 2 to 4 inches being a possibility. But like I was explaining, though, we'll have to see how that plays out because, we were expecting a lot more dry air out in the eastern quadrant and a lot more moisture air, in the left-hand side. So I really think that we're going to get probably more rain across Maine and maybe a little bit less across Nova Scotia. We'll see how that plays out. And in terms of the surges, like I was explaining, the heaviest surging is going to be across areas like Nantucket and Cape Cod area, 2 to 4 foot of above sea level. It's kind of what we're talking about here. So basically 2 to 4 foot of waves or 2 to 4 foot of water pushed inland is kind of what we are expecting here. Across areas here along southern Long Island, 1 to 2 foot of storm surge. Northern side of Long Island, 1 to 3 foot out there by, Connecticut's coast too. Is kind of what we're talking about. And, throughout the coastal areas here of New Hampshire and, all of coastal Maine, we're talking about 1 to 3 foot of surges as well in general. So that is the latest with the storm. Look at how massive those hurricane force winds are. Absolutely becoming a massive storm in general. It's using a lot of its energy to grow wide rather than to grow in strength. But it is a beast. It is definitely a beast of a storm here. And it looks like it's going to continue growing in size a bit. But yeah, Bermuda's going to start feeling those effects probably as early as tomorrow morning. We're going to start to feel those tropical storm force winds tomorrow morning for Bermuda. And now, like Tim was wanting me to take a look at there was the overall waves and stuff like that whenever it comes to the system. So let's go ahead and full screen this for you guys overall before we head off here, guys. So whenever it comes to it with the waves, actually, let's do wave height. Here we go. Out there by areas here by, Bermuda, you can kind of see we're out possibly over 25 foot. It's kind of hard to see that. But whenever it comes to areas like the Northeast, with the wave height, let me actually full screen this so you guys can see the color table too. You can see how, as we work way down in time, we possibly could see those waves 30 plus foot by, southwestern Nova Scotia there. And by the Gulf of Maine, they definitely could be pretty strong too. It just depends on the track. But they're in the kind of central Gulf of Maine. We're talking, maybe over 25 to 30 foot waves. Seems to be a good possibility from the GFS. Now, the European model in perspective, whenever it comes to the ECMWF, kind of on the same grounds overall. Basically 25 to 30 foot waves possible in general. And across areas here of southern Nova Scotia, we're talking maybe even higher. I'd say maybe up to 35 to 40 plus could be a possibility. So very, very rough waves out there. Very, very rough seas out there. So you're going to definitely want to be out of the waters if you're across these regions because it's going to rock your boats like crazy. You definitely don't want to be out in this because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to be in, such rough seas that we are expecting like this. But anyways, yeah, so that's just kind of what we're looking at, guys. That is essentially what we are seeing here overall. I just wanted to go ahead and say, just kind of wanted to go ahead and go over everything of what we're expecting in general and stuff like that. But like I was explaining, we don't ask for anything on this channel, but if you guys did enjoy it, consider leaving a like and maybe hitting that subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated. Like I was explaining, like I said, we love you guys. I want to make sure you guys are being safe out there and be prepared. That's obviously the main point of the channel is to make sure you guys are ready to go and that you guys are knowing what's heading your way. That's all that matters. But anyways, before we head off here, I want to go ahead and say a thanks to our donators for today. We had a few donators coming in from, obviously we had ourselves Hope coming in with the member support. Greatly appreciated. We had Skylark, we had Andy, we had Gypsy, and Judy. Thank you guys so much for helping out with the donations today. You guys absolutely rock. Really helps out. Means a lot to us. So big shout out goes to you. Once again, Judy, Gypsy, Andy, Skylark, as well as Hope 8 Fear for becoming a member on the channel. It's greatly appreciated. And but like I said, guys, I really appreciate all of your support. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. And like I said, we'll continue watching this for the next couple of days. Tomorrow morning we'll do another update, probably around 11. I'd say maybe noon. So we'll see how we'll see how that plays out. You know, depends on when I wake up and whenever I set up the stream and stuff like that. So we'll figure all that out. So just keep an eye on it. Turn post notifications on if you guys want to be notified when we do go live. But yeah, that's about it, my friends. Well, I really appreciate y'all being here. You guys take care. Like I said, once again, big shout out goes to Skylark, Andy, Gypsy, and Judy. You guys absolutely, absolutely rock. Appreciate y'all. And okay, well, you guys take care. Like I said, stream's gonna head off here in about 2 minutes. So if y'all have anything you want to go ahead and say goodbye to your friends, family, or anybody you're hanging out with in the chat. Go ahead and say your final goodbyes now, my friends. But all right, well, we'll catch you guys here tomorrow morning, and then of course another one in tomorrow afternoon, or sorry, tomorrow evening. So tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening we'll do 2 different live streams here for the updates on the tropics. But all right, well, once again, Judy, Gypsy, Andy, Skylark, and Hope 8 Fear, thank you guys so much. We appreciate y'all, and thank everyone for joining, and special thanks to our mods for helping out the channel. But okay, well, y'all take care. We love y'all. Please be safe out there, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. We love y'all. Be safe. See you then.